Hey my dear Nightshade, it's Otti again. I'm sitting here in Oberhausen at the Zentrum Altenberg with Steve Skaith of the band Latin Quarter. So hi Steve.
Hi, nice to be here.
It's your tour, you're on your 40th anniversary tour with Latin Quarter. So first of all, it has been, I think, 3 nights have been done.
So far, yes. Well, one in England, then 3 here, Oberhausen today, Marbach tomorrow, then London next week.
Okay.
It's a short tour, actually, just 7 gigs.
Yeah, short but cool, I think. And, for example, I've seen you have many people, many audience in Germany.
Yeah, Germany's always been for some reason, always a bigger audiences for us. So it's great. That's why we come back every 18 months or 2 years.
Yeah, that's cool. And you have been to 4 venues now. What has been the coolest night so far? What has been the coolest?
Ooh, I've got to be careful. I'll insult the others. Well, probably Hamburg. Hamburg's a kind of special place for us because when we first came to Germany, the first gigs were in Hamburg in a place called Ankelpo. We played 3 nights. It's a small club, but it was very hot. And then we played Markthalle and the Stadtpark, and so it's always been pretty special. But Bremen also. I mean, it's difficult to say one or the other, but I guess as long as people from Bremen are not watching, I'll say Hamburg.
So Bremish people don't watch this video. No, it's okay. I think it depends on the mood of the people as well.
Yeah, it's actually slightly different because in Hamburg it's a standing audience, so the response is slightly more animated. Whereas yesterday in Bremen, it's a sit-down audience, so it's a little more difficult to feel the connection. In the end, it was fine. It was 100%. But at first, it's a little more difficult just to get the response because people, if they're standing, it's fantastic. If they're sitting, it's more like. Yeah. So, although I like to sit if I'm in an audience.
But this is really interesting because this is a topic my girlfriend and I often talk about. It's more and more concerts becoming with sitting people. Even, or at least for the bands that started in the 80s and 70s.
Because our audience is older. We want to sit down. We have to sit down sometimes.
But from the artist's point of view, isn't it really strange to see the people sitting while you do a song where people can dance and they sit and say, okay?
Well, I guess. I mean, yesterday actually people got up and were dancing in the aisles. Or moving in their seats. So yes, that's an issue. But I quite like the idea. I mean, we play in a place called Quito in Bremen normally, but it's smaller than when we played yesterday. And people are around you. It's very intimate, and you're talking to the audience, and they can concentrate and really listen, and everyone can see you. Sitting can be very good also, very intimate.
Okay, but when I say your music is not that rock and roll style, you have many ballads, many smooth songs. So maybe this is a difference as well. Yeah, cool. You also have a new album, it's a live album.
Yeah.
Remember, I've forgotten the title, Live at the Half Moon.
Yeah.
So tell me short the story about how it happened for the people outside, how you recorded it.
For many years we've been talking, we must record a concert. And we tried occasionally, but the technology wasn't so good, or in one case, when I listened, I said, no, we played too badly, I don't want to make this public. But this time, we got very high-level recording equipment at a fantastic price. The guy just is almost like does it for fun, and we recorded it. And then when we listened back, I couldn't believe how good it sounded. Not every song. I mean, we probably played 22 songs, and I think on the album maybe 14 or 15. So there's some songs you said, no, it doesn't sound so good, or nah, we don't want people to have to listen to this. But others sounded very, very good, and so. It's our first live album, and I'm really happy with it, really.
And the production is brilliant, I have to say. I listened to it today again, and it's really, really deep and warm sound. So.
Yeah, also, and it doesn't have Radio Africa, because many people think that we're one song.
Yeah.
And it's got all other songs. Is America for Beginners? I've forgotten which songs are on the album, but Radio Africa is not on the album, and I'm happy about that.
So you don't like Radio Africa?
No, I like it, but it's been so many people know us from Radio Africa. If I get royalty statements from the radio, the top is always Radio Africa. And I'm thinking, okay, it's a lovely song, I like it. It's been very good for me. But we have other songs, please recognise them.
It's hard if you are reduced to this one song and always being called an 80s band. Playing for almost, you had a pause in between, but playing for almost 40 years. Okay, we have been talking about Radio Africa, and it's many people sure say your 80s band, Radio Africa is your one hit. So what do you feel about it when people just see you like this?
Well, it's a pity, because I think we do have many other songs. We get a certain amount of recognition. Recently, the University of Essex did a whole project, a 2-year project, looking at all the political songs, British political songs from the 14th century to now, and they chose, I think, 500 of the most important political songs. And the song we had that was highest, I don't know what position, was Dominion, which is a song about animals and nature, and not Radio Africa. We had 4 songs that they chose. I think Radio Africa was one of them, but not the first. So I was pleased about that.
Yeah, so you see, you can say you are much more important than some people think for the music.
Well, important is okay, but
yeah.
we have more music.
I'm German, maybe another word.
Okay,
better, but
we have more music than Radio Africa. A lot more.
See. And it's for me, for example, I told you in advance, I didn't know you till the beginning of this year.
Wow.
So I'm discovering you now, and it's cool. And for me, it's cool as I didn't know Radio Africa and no other songs, so I just see the band as a whole. I see what I now get. Maybe this is even sometimes better for a band to be discovered when they have their back catalogue.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, one thing that strikes me about this tour is that, okay, the majority of people there are people from the 80s who are coming to listen to modern times, but there's a good percentage of younger people who must have found the band later. Sometimes it's because their parents like the band and they listen to find their parents. But I look at when I'm playing, I look around and think, oh my God, this person's younger than I imagine, and oh, look at that person. So, not that I mind. I mean, growing old is what happens. So it's no big deal.
Yeah, sure. And you mentioned you're in this list of political songs. So people outside have to know you are a band from the beginning on. You had very political lyrics, very social critical lyrics. So. This is something still important to you would say?
Yeah. If we look at the more recent albums, not the live album particularly, but ones before that, there's still a fair amount of political and social commentary in those albums. The first few albums were extremely political. I mean, almost every song. Now maybe the percentage is a little different. But sure, I mean, my political beliefs haven't really changed in 40 years. So.
But has something in the world changed to the better this time?
No, not at the moment. I think we're going through a real dip. I mean, obviously the war in Ukraine, what's going on with the economy, and the ecology. I mean, it's very. I don't read the papers. I mean, I read the headline, and I don't want to know the details. But I'm more and more just. I read football. I read about football.
Okay.
The scores, the transfers, what's happening to Lionel Messi. This is my reading nowadays.
Okay, so you're a big football fan.
Oh, I love football. Yes.
Yeah. It's the same as me, but I have lost a little bit of connection to it because it got too much, like money stuff.
Well,
like
it's terrible, isn't it?
All is about money. It's not that I am totally against it. I think good players should earn a good amount of money because they have deserved it. They have worked for it hard. But if you have like oligarchs who have this topic as well, I think that buy clubs and say, okay, this is the way it goes. It's not the football we love.
Absolutely, I think absolutely. And they don't know how to run clubs also. It's ridiculous. What's going on in Chelsea is just ridiculous. They keep just sacking managers. Managers need time. Teams need time to develop. But because of this rush for money, rush for the Champions League, rush for these new super leagues, it's just crazy. And the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer, there's no doubt. Except in England at the moment, it's interesting. There's one or two smaller clubs like Fulham and Brighton who are doing very well. And they're beating the bigger clubs. It's quite interesting. My favourite team is Borussia Dortmund. Well, not my favourite, but I like them because I think they have a big fan base. They're not owned by an oligarch, I think.
No, it's like Aktiengesellschaft, what's the name? You can buy trades of them.
Yes.
It's
What's your team?
Mine is, I have two favorites. It's Bayern Munich. So it's,
dear. Oh boy, stop the interview now.
No, the reason is when I had lost my connection to football in my youth, and I saw them in the Champions League, and they had a really good drive back then, and that brought back my love to football. And the other thing is, and it's very contradictory, St. Pauli.
Oh, so yes.
This is more left-winged stuff. As I grew up as a punk, I have to say, and St. Pauli was always, even if you didn't watch football, you had a St. Pauli shirt on.
Yeah, St. Pauli is, all my Hamburg friends, St. Pauli is the team.
Yeah. And what I like about them is how they, for example, handled the Nazis in the stadium. They kicked them out and said, no, you are not allowed here.
Yeah.
They're fighting for good things.
They're very famous, St. Pauli, for a small team, because it's really a small team. It's not like Bayern Munich, but it has a fantastic amount of fans and supporters in the whole world. People know about St. Pauli.
Yeah, it's like but you have to say, and this is what many people don't know, Bayern Munich, for example, saved St. Pauli once. And saved other
I know.
clubs. They
including Borussia.
They know about their about their.
The thing is, there's always one team everyone hates. Like in England, it used to be Manchester United. Everyone, if you either support Manchester United, but everyone else hates them. Bayern Munich, I guess in Spain it's Real Madrid. In Italy, I'm not sure, Milan or Juventus. But there's always one team that seems to have more money and everyone hates them.
Yeah, it's in most cases the biggest team that always is in the Champions League. Sure. So now we are at football, but it's cool. But back to your music. That's an interesting question. Is there a connection between your football love and your music somewhere?
Probably not. No, I don't think so.
So you would never do a song about football? Or
well, the song No Ordinary Return, which is on Modern Times, is about football supporters and the fans who used to go to fight. And it's about that, and about a fan who gets killed, basically. Because that was a big thing in the 80s in England. Football violence became very organised, like in groups and teams. It wasn't just an individual having a fight, but it was planned. They would plan to meet the people from the other team and fight.
Yeah, it was the same in Germany with hooligans meeting for fighting for.
Yeah.
At least even sometimes killing each other.
Yeah,
it's hard. Yes. Yeah, but it's interesting because in England, I think music and football is often connected. You have so many cool songs, so many cool hymns in the stadium. Germans often copy this, for example, Never Walk Alone is big.
Yeah, that's a big
example.
One. Yeah. I mean, most teams have a song actually, like Sweet Caroline. Bournemouth have the song Sweet Caroline. Manchester City have what's the song that mentions blue? I can't remember what song it is, but it's a famous song and the title is Blue something.
It's funny thing is many of these songs I am connected to because I'm a big fan of darts. Okay. I always look the darts. For example, now the Premier League is going on, and the players also have those songs like Sweet Caroline and stuff like this. It's cool. Yeah, but we have to come back to your music and your album. As I discovered your music now, one of my favorites became even Superman.
Oh yes.
So it's really, for example, because I'm a comic fan since I was young, but also the text is really, let's say it in your words. What is Superman? What's the metaphor he stands for in this song?
It was written actually because the company, what comic, I can't remember the name of the company.
DC.
They kill Superman in one stage, but then people scream, "No, you can't do this," and so they brought him back. But for a short time, Superman was dead. So Mike Jones wrote this lyric. I mean, using lots of images like the molten shield, his love for Lois Lane, and this sort of stuff. So when I sing it, I often think you can imagine it's a song about heroes, about leaders, and how they, in a sense, always, or very often, they let us down. We can't trust them. We can't believe them. Because what some of the song talks about, that what did we think we were going to get from Superman? What is Superman really going to do for us? So at times you think, well, maybe it's about Obama, or maybe it's about some great political leader. Maybe. So you could read that metaphor. Mm-hmm. But the lyric itself is just based on Superman language.
Oh, cool. It's raining, but I think this is okay. It should rain because the nature needs some rain. We had too much dryness in the past. But do you see heroes in the world now? Are there real heroes we have? Or?
Yes. I mean, there are people who are doing amazing things. At the moment in England, there's a particular trade union leader called Mick Lynch, who he's the leader of the train workers, railway workers, and he's so articulate. It's so clear, and all the politicians who try and criticise him, they fail in any confrontation, and he gives people so much confidence about working class people can say things, can do things. I mean, you could talk about Greta Thunberg and and the question about the ecology and the environment, but we have to be careful. I mean, I cried when Obama became the president, but when you, and I still think he's essentially a good person. But when you look at what actually he did, it wasn't fantastic, and there's some...
Yeah, but this is a system problem, I think,
because it's true.
The Republicans could block all the...
Well, that's true, but at the same time, there's probably more drone killings under Obama. But it's true, on healthcare, it's not just the Republicans, also half the Democratic Party is so right-wing, and so,
I think America has a problem with this.
Yeah.
But you have as well... Seeing
Brexit, what a problem.
Do you want to talk about it?
No, I mean it's a problem for musicians.
Yeah.
I mean, to come here now, before we could just come to Germany and play. Now we have to fill in a form, all our equipment. Then we can't go to the ferry. We have to go first to this office, and they check it, and blah 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 blah. Then we go to France, and they have to check it again. And so there's 2 hours added to the journey, and there and back, and £400 for our carnets. It's like, really? Nothing is improved by this system. Nothing.
Just because some stupid guys, I don't want to use hard words, thought it would be cool if England
it's a kind of small England, the idea that we're a wonderful country, we won the war, we're great, we want to go back to Churchill, back to 1939. It's a whole vibe about England, and it's not accepting the reality. We're a multicultural country with many more influences. We don't all come from the Second World War. We have a relationship with Europe. It's our biggest trading partner. Why do you want to put a block on this? It's just madness.
Yeah. And you have to say, sure, the British history is not the best as well with colonization and stuff.
Yeah, but people,
But one good thing you mentioned it is the multicultural thing. We have really not that big problems with people of other colors. Not as in Germany.
No, maybe no. We don't have a big far right party. It's true.
So, what do you think is the good thing about your history, about the British?
Well, no, I think the first thing Britain has to realise is that our history is full of atrocity. But in England, this is a big topic, because maybe 2 years ago, some people in Bristol there's a statue of a famous man in Bristol who gave a lot of money to Bristol, a man called Colston, but he was a slave owner, and some people put the statue in the river. And you can't do this, you can't rewrite history, and they said, we're not rewriting history, we're trying to understand history, and we do. I mean, yes, we're not saying he doesn't exist, but why have a statue? If you want a statue, put it in a museum. People can learn about it, but don't glorify him by having it in the street. And it's a big thing about British history, because a lot of people do not want to know British history. It's full of atrocities, murders, mass killings, torture. So what's good about British history? Well, I mean, some very great artists, some good literature. I'm sure some people, when they went to other countries, had good intentions, I'm sure. But the main thing I think in Britain is to stop thinking that we're a great country with a great past. I think we have to start thinking more critically about our past.
I think it's the same with many countries. Germans maybe sometimes even are extremely critical because of the Nazi time. It's absolutely, I'm anti-fascist and so, but we have some guilt problem sometimes, I think.
Well, I don't think you should be guilty about what some Nazis did. There's no reason. I mean, maybe the country, the government maybe has to pay certain reparations or has to look at some art that's been stolen. I mean, as a country, but I don't individuals. You're completely different.
Sure. I'm not guilty, but I think I have, for example, have to see that people don't forget about what happened.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think we all have to do this, the mankind.
Yeah.
But let's talk, and this is the last topic of political stuff. You mentioned Radio Africa, so I think you still have a connection to the continent, to what happens there. Is it like this?
Do we have a connection? I mean, we pay attention, and in fact, the words of Radio Africa have tonight. We will sing the old words because it's a 40-year anniversary. But over the years, we've changed the words a few times to reflect the new reality. And we have a song called Mandela's Ghost, which is actually very critical of the new South African government. Mm-hmm. So our connection is that we're interested. I mean, not that, although our bass player and drummer are South African. Oh. So there's that connection, if you like.
Mm-hmm. Cool. So, and now let's come to some positive stuff.
Okay.
So, what still makes you hopeful of the world, of that things can get better? Is there something besides football and music?
I'm not sure. I mean, to be honest, I'm not sure it's going to get better very soon. I mean, in England, there is a movement among working class and trade unions that is much more positive and much more progressive than it was 10 years ago, and some very, very great trade union leaders. And so, and that's good. But the problem is that the party of the working class, the Labour Party, has gone right to the right wing, and now they are against the strikes. So hopefully the Labour Party will win the next election. But it's not clear to me that they're going to be making many changes. Mm-hmm. And then you look at Africa or Latin America, which I have a connection because my wife is Mexican, and the level of corruption. I mean, there's been some good, in Brazil, for Lula to be re-elected is better than Bolsonaro. But nevertheless, the country is in such a state. There's so many problems he has. Can he solve them? It's, in America, 30% of Americans believe Donald Trump is even a good human being, never mind the president. I mean, he's probably the worst person who's ever existed. Imagine being in a lift with Donald Trump. I mean, there's nothing good about him. Forget his politics. As a human being, he's completely insane, narcissistic, and he's incredible. He just lies as if it doesn't matter. So I'm not that hopeful, actually.
Okay, but I hope you are hopeful about the show tonight.
Yeah. I mean, there can be pockets. I mean, music can be great. Football can be great. I mean, and individuals can take action in local areas. But in terms of the world, capitalism, it seems very difficult to think how we're going to get through it. And then we've got this war and Putin, who just kind of decided to go murder civilians. I mean, and just carry on doing it.
I think the problems are, or the problem of the world are many of those leaders and that have too much power and too much stupid ideas. Yeah, cool. But I think it was a really deep and interesting interview. Okay. I hope you liked it as well.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Is there something you want to tell the watchers, for example, what's coming after the tour?
Well, we're after this tour. Well, obviously the album, and we hope people can find ways for listening to that and getting hold of the album. And also, if people are coming to Latin Quarter after 40 years, they should know that since 2012, there's 4 or 5 new albums with almost all new songs. And I think they're as good as the albums before. What actually comes next in terms of the band, we're not sure live because we've got different ideas. We're thinking maybe we could do a quartet, so a much more acoustic thing, with maybe 2 guitars, keyboards and voice, or then today Jaffa, the keyboard player, said, well, maybe cello, get a cello. I mean, we're thinking to do something just a little bit different again. After a 6-piece band with electric guitar, maybe do something different, but it's to keep it interesting for us. Because we talked about Radio Africa before. Well, we'll play Radio Africa tonight for the millionth time, and I will play it as well as I possibly can and sing it. And well, it's difficult for me to sing this song now, but it'd be good to do something a bit different sometimes.
I think this is a perfect word for the end.
Okay.
So, thank you.
No, thank you very much.
Thank you, people, for watching.
Yeah, thank you.
And bye, and see you next time.
Yeah. Bye-bye. Thanks for the interview.